Do you have a child who has a tendency to withdraw a bit? Well, maybe a lot from you and the rest of the family. He or she might spend all their time in their room, for example. They might avoid planned family activities. These are fairly common events to see amongst kids. The family might go somewhere, and this child wants to stay home, says that she just doesn't really want to go. In other words, doesn't want to be included in anything with anybody else. They might demonstrate, in fact, some of the symptoms of depression, like loss of interest in usual activities, decreased energy, persistently sad, empty, or have anxious feelings. Do they look discouraged at relatively minor setbacks? Do you see a disconnection from other people, from work, from getting outside in nature, maybe an inability to express feelings, especially hope? If so, in the beginning, it can seem innocent, but slowly your child disappears into their own world. It might be related to the use of electronics, commonly is, but it might not be. But they're just not here anymore. And withdrawing turns into depression really easily. What would you give to have a happy child back? A child who participated in life and with you and with the family. I'm here to tell you that there is a solution, and we're not talking about controlling or minimizing the symptoms, not nearly enough. We're talking about a real transformation where your child becomes happy, fulfilled, responsible, and, well, a human being again. In most cases, what you get is a child much happier than they were before the withdrawal. Welcome to the answers you've been looking for, hoping for. For a long time now, you've been looking for ways to help your child, and I greatly admire what you're doing right now. You're looking for answers. You're trying to love and help your child, which is way more than most parents ever do. And finally, you're in the right place to do that. It's like you've been paddling around in the middle of the ocean, desperately looking for help, and now, almost unbelievably, it's here. This is the ship you've been looking for. Now, how could I possibly make such an extravagant promise? Because I know how to teach parents how to help their children be connected and happy instead of withdrawn. What I teach has been used by uncounted thousands of parents, and it works consistently. I'm not trying to sell you something here that we're going to do. You don't have to wait. The training begins right now. In the next few seconds, I'll be teaching you things about your children and yourselves that you've never known. What a relief to know that right now, you're exactly where you've wanted to be. You can learn what you need to learn. Finally, you can feel encouraged. You can even feel hope. You can help your child, and I'm going to help you do that. You wouldn't be here unless two things were true. One, you have a child who is withdrawn, and two, you care enough to do something about it. I know you've tried to change things. Maybe counseling, maybe medication, certainly lots of things that you've read in books, learned from programs. You've tried encouraging this child. You've done a ton of worrying. You've done a ton of directing and trying to get them involved. But your child still backs away from you and from life. And you're frustrated and tired. You've been looking for something that works, dying for it. And here it is. Principles that have proven to work hundreds of thousands of times all over the world. If parents are thoroughly committed to learning and practicing what I'm going to share with you, predictably, I see children lose their withdrawal. It just goes away. And instead, they become happy and involved. Even after everything else has failed, you become pretty happy too. It is not hopeless. I'm here to help you, and I'll be using the insight and experience of counseling with thousands of parents, and from writing 20 books and endless articles on the subject, as well as appearing on 1,600 radio and television shows, and presenting seminars all around the world, and more. You are about to change the world around you, and finally, you don't have to do this alone, which is miserable and frustrating. You've already proven that with your own experience. So now the question that has to be on your mind: what am I going to teach you that you don't already know? What am I going to say that you haven't already read or heard somewhere? This is going to be revolutionary for you to hear. So slow down your brain and listen with your soul. What does a child need more than anything else? That is the essential question we don't ask enough. After food, water, and air, the answer is actually obvious, and yet we keep missing it over and over. To see the answer, to see it more clearly, more easily, let's start with an infant. When an infant cries, other than from obvious physical pain, what does he want? You already know, because you just pick him up. You're pretty smart about this. You already know that every child wants to feel cared for. Every child wants to feel loved. Picking them up and holding them is just a physical demonstration of that. And if you're genuine in caring about them, they feel it. But infants are relatively easy to love. They smile, they melt your heart, they make cute little noises, they laugh in ways that we never hear anywhere else. They're adorable. But then they get older, and they learn to spill things and make messes and ferociously say no when you tell them what to do. They scream in their car seat, they fight with their siblings, they refuse to listen to you, they say ugly and hateful things to you and other people, and sometimes they just go away emotionally, withdrawing from nearly everything. They learn quite a list of behaviors that make them a lot harder to love. And when that happens, we really don't know what to do. Usually we try to control their behavior, and we might even temporarily succeed, but it doesn't last. And we end up with kids who are still withdrawn and unhappy. We're not so happy either. Let me say this another way. If our children become more difficult to love as their behavior changes, that proves we don't know how to love them unconditionally. If we love them unconditionally, we love them no matter what. But if loving them becomes more difficult when they're difficult, like whining, arguing, fighting, withdrawing, our love is conditional. Unconditional love, or what I call real love, the real thing, means caring about another person without wanting anything from them in return. Oh, but we do expect something in return for loving our children, like respect, cooperation, gratitude, and a certain level of reasonable behavior, which they can't do while they're avoiding you, the family, and overall activity everywhere. Now, more about unconditional love. That kind of love would mean that our love would not be affected by what they do. That's what unconditional love means. But we really don't know how to do that. How do I know? We prove it every time we become angry or disappointed or impatient or irritated at them. Our anger and disappointment and frustration are undeniable proof that our love is not unconditional. Deep inside, you know that what I'm saying is true. But let me demonstrate a little further. When other people are angry at you, do you like that? No, you really don't. Not ever. Nobody does. When other people are angry at us, or when we're angry at other people, we are all saying, look at what you did to me, or failed to do for me. When we're angry, we're focused on ourselves. Me. And in that moment, other people, notably our children, hear only 4 words. I don't love you. And they're right. When we're angry, we're far too occupied with ourselves to unconditionally love anybody. I repeat, when we are angry at another person, including our child, they hear only, I don't love you. I promise you that this is true. No, we don't mean to say that. But what else could people hear while our words, tone, and behavior are screaming, me? I don't love you is what you hear and feel when people are angry at you. Think about that, honestly. And it's what our children hear and feel when we're angry at them. Again, we do not mean to do this. We do not mean to hurt our children. We don't. But it was inevitable because we were not loved unconditionally, which means being consistently loved without disappointment or anger, freely, with no conditions. So how could we possibly have learned how to unconditionally love our own children? Impossible. Nobody is to blame. Our ignorance of real love simply perpetuated over generations. We don't know how to love unconditionally because we've never seen it or felt it with any consistency. For emphasis, I'm going to say all this in a slightly different way. When children are withdrawn, it is almost always a reaction to them not feeling loved unconditionally, loved with no disappointment, irritation, frustration, or anger. This could sound a little discouraging, even bleak. Well, overall, it is bleak. Look at the world, at the utter obsession with things that are distractions from our pain of not feeling loved, like endless entertainment, addiction to electronics, anger, controlling people, drugs, alcohol, sex, and on and on. There, in those behaviors, is the proof that overall we do not know how to love people unconditionally. If we did, and I speak here with vast experience, those behaviors, the ones I just listed, would not exist. I've been teaching unconditional love for so many years to so many parents that I can tell you this with complete certainty. When a child truly feels loved unconditionally, he or she does not withdraw from the people who love them. They don't. Nor do they withdraw from activities in general. Instead, they're happy and involved and connecting and responsible and all those qualities you wish they had. With sufficient love, there is simply no need to withdraw, which is a withdrawal from pain. Happy people just don't feel bad or avoid people or life, period, full stop. It seems almost like this statement is too broad, too much. It's not. So that is what I'll be teaching you, how to love your children unconditionally, which then gives them a reason, finally, to listen to you. How many times have you wondered why a child isn't hearing what you're saying? How many times in your head have you said, why is this child never listening to me? Well, there's an answer. And here it is. Because when you're irritated, your child hears only, I don't love you. And that is so devastating that he or she hears none of the rest of the content of what you say. If you love them unconditionally, they can hear you. They can hear what you're really saying because they're not distracted by their fear. They're not blinded and deafened by the I don't love you message. Then it becomes possible for you to teach them anything, like how to be loving and responsible and connecting. And if they have that powerful trifecta, if they feel loved and they are loving and responsible, they are guaranteed, it's a lock, to be happy, which is the ultimate goal for any parent or, frankly, any person. Your children can learn that being happy and connected and involved feels way better than isolating. And they'll choose happy. Take my hand and we'll talk about what you can do and how I will support you. It will almost be like starting over as a parent. You're going to learn how to be a real parent, and your child will learn the lessons of life that will benefit him or her for the rest of their lives. If you implement what you learn here and you do it consistently, you simply will not believe the differences you will see in your child and in you and in your family. Imagine it. No more sadness, no more withdrawal from the family or loss of interest in everything, no more disappearing, no more expressions of futility and giving up, no more ugly words, no more tension in the family. It's astonishing to see and feel. Our children are not defective. They're not bad. We're not bad either. We just have not known how to love and teach them. What we're doing with our kids now is simply not working. Loving and teaching them does. Rarely is it too late to change whatever unproductive behaviors you're dealing with. Not if you're really willing to learn and to apply these principles to the interactions with your child. I can promise you, learning how to be a real parent is worth it. We're about to learn how to eliminate the behaviors in your children that are hurting them and making you crazy. Really. I make you another promise. Learning to be a loving, effective parent is easier than everything else you've done as a parent so far. We're really going to get into this. This is not a casual effort. We're not looking to make your child more manageable, like an object. That's not even close to being enough. Our mission is to help you become a powerful and effective parent, and to help your child feel loved, and to be loving, responsible, and then unavoidably, genuinely happy. It's a transformation. If you are truly committed to learning how to parent, I'm fully committed to teach you, and will bring resources to the table you never thought about. The rewards are spectacular, as we have seen in uncounted thousands of families. There's not a single thing you'll ever do that will ring through the ages more powerfully than being a loving and effective parent. You can do this. So let's learn some more. Let's get started. Click the button below. It's free to begin transforming your life as a ridiculously effective parent.